Alright, hello. Hello, hello. How are we all doing? Let's just get right into it. First time in a while. Hopefully everyone can see what's happening. Give me a second. Hope everyone's doing well. I'll let this play, just to ease myself into it, you know. Get in the right mood. Now, if I remember correctly, I think for every second or something of footage that's animated in this way, it took the computers at Konami several hours to animate or to render that second. So it was literally thousands of hours of work put into every single second, which I always found very impressive. And it's been a while since I played this one too. I sort of, 2 and 3 are the ones I just kept replaying over and over again, but 1 often got left out for various reasons. Alright, and so it begins. Silent Hill 1. And what I really like about that opening cutscene is just how it does the usual thing of, showing you scenes from later in the game, but also it's got the actual setup for the game interspersed in between. So we see Harry crash his car. And I debated for a long time whether I play normal or hard difficulty, but after what happened in Silent Hill 2, I figured make things easy on myself. Don't go too painful. We'll just go normal. Just go normal. Alright. Yeah, it's been a long time since I played this one. Well, I tried to replay it at the start of the year on the Vita actually, but that happened to crash. So I gave up. It crashed and I corrupted my save, and I figured it's not worth it. This place is like a ghost town. Cheryl. All right. And it's I don't know. I do get the impression that this game is really the forgotten of the original 3, certainly, and possibly the original 4 too. Just exposure was and has been more pronounced to the second one. More and more people sort of immediately resonate with that one.
Cheryl? Is that Cheryl? Where are you going? Hey, wait! Stop!
And the other thing I really like, just about the opening sequence, obviously, you know, how lonely it is, how quiet it is, how long it takes comparatively to other horror games, to get the monsters on screen. Sort of start with this interesting opening, which lets you get, you know, a grasp of the controls at the same time. But I just like, I don't know, maybe it's just me. I just think it's cool when, to symbolize a character's thoughts, the developers just don't have the voice actor do any voice acting. So just quiet. You got to read the text to sort of peer into their thoughts, which makes sense because, you know, we have a unique perspective on a character if we're playing as them. We sort of get that additional insight, and you know how we interface with them is much different from other characters because they're under our control, and by, you know, they're an extension of ourselves. What is it? It's a great question. Can hear sirens going off in the distance, and everyone talks about this, you know, this particular scene. I think it's this, yeah. People rave about this, you know, great shot, a fantastic use of developer-controlled camera. Really makes it feel claustrophobic, you know, like you're playing a film in that regard, that you've got a really skilled director who's, in this case, you know, who's the player. That's strange, it's getting darker. Better than nothing, I guess. Busted out the lighter. Let's see. Good. A bot. Broken wheelchair. What's this doing here? Let's see. You know, and you get this wonderful soundscape, creeping in. What's this? And I hope it's audible, but you do get some really fantastic noises just creeping in, you know, like the sort of yelling almost that you can hear in the background, and just repeated over and over and over again. And then, yeah, we've got all this horrible gore and blood.
What is this? What's going on here?
Some person strung up and they're being attacked. So I should say, playing the NTSC version here, so certain enemies have been replaced or censored in the school area, and I think only show up in the second sewer segment, if I remember correctly. It's one hell of a dream, huh? Got some explaining to do or something? And I feel like most of the pandemic listening to this cafe song just on repeat. It was both comforting and slowly driving me to insanity by the end.
I'm alright, I guess.
Glad to hear it. You from around here? Why don't you tell me what happened?
Wait a second, I'm just a tourist. I came here for a vacation. I just got here. I don't know what happened. I'd like to find out myself.
Uh-huh.
Have you seen a little girl? Just turned 7 last month. Short, black hair.
Probably gonna hear that a lot.
My daughter.
person I've seen in this town is you.
Where is everybody?
I'd tell you if I knew, believe me. But from what I can tell, something bizarre is going on. That's all I know. What's your name?
Harry. Harry Mason.
Cybil Bennett.
Nice to meet you.
I'm a police officer from Brams, the next town over. The phones are all dead, and the radio too. I'm going back to call in some reinforcements.
I love the number of Uh-huh.
Hold it. Where do you think you're going?
My daughter. I've got to find her.
No way. It's dangerous out there.
In that case, I need to find her now. Cheryl's my little girl. I can't just leave her out there by herself.
He's a good dad.
Have you got a gun?
No.
No,
Take this.
I agree.
Hope you don't have to use it.
Video game writing was not refined at the time, right?
Now listen.
So
Before you pull the trigger,
comparatively,
know who you're shooting.
there's a lot going on here that works.
Don't do it unless you have to.
That line there obviously is
You're blasting me by mistake.
yeah, that sequence there, evident foreshadowing. So yeah, you've got some
Yeah.
nice writing there. That feels like actually
Stay nearby.
two people talking, although their lines, you know, obviously loading off of a CD very slowly. But you know, it sounds natural. Still sounds like two people reading lines at each other. More natural than Resident Evil 1. Yeah, is very accurate. That game had voice acting. It was a great time. Flashlight and the map. Should play that through on stream as well at some point. And save here. Someday someone may experience these bizarre events. Hopefully they will find my notes useful. And you know, we get to see one of his notes in Silent Hill 3 as well. Alright. And radio, is it broken? Can't hear anything. And we'll pick up the health drink and the knife as well. As far as I remember, the knife is completely redundant. I don't remember using it for very much. Original. Would you play the remakes and the originals for the Resident Evil games? Yeah, I think I would. I've, you know, some of them I haven't played in a very long time, especially the original versions. And yeah, all the remakes is the stuff that's fresh in my mind. So maybe it would be interesting to replay the PS1 versions as well. Because I've got fond memories. And maybe that lack of experience would be a good thing.
What's that?
I still love them, but I never quite gelled with them in the same way that
What's going
I did with Silent Hill. But they're still great games. There's a reason Resident Evil is still going strong today. Take down the air screamer here. The fleshy pterodactyl thing.
This is not a dream. What's happening to this place?
Just normal things, you know, evolution. The radio may be useful for something. I better take it with me. This is true. I should not forget the radio. Yeah, the Resident Evil 4 remake. I was one of those people who didn't think it was necessary at all, but I ended up really liking it. I thought it was an amazing game, the remake. Especially because it doesn't invalidate the fact that the original exists, because the original is still accessible on every platform known to man, apparently. Where could Cheryl have gone? Guess I'll check that alley again. Alright. Zooming in. Quite like that effect. Okay. Let's go back down the alley. Got no other leads. It's a good thing the people in Silent Hill just leave their handgun bullets just sitting on the bench. Yes, it's the alternative to sprinkling birdseed for the birds. You leave out bullets for your survival horror protagonist and hope that they come pick them up, Just drawing the survival horror to the town. Just asking for it, The moment your city bureaucracy starts setting up puzzles to open doors, I think, the survival horror situation is about to unfold. Or an adventure game situation, I suppose. Just going to try and ignore the dogs and the air screamers. I never found them very easy to fight. Just let him catch his breath a little bit. Alright, he's fine. He's doing great. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I replayed the RE2 remake earlier this year, because I think I mentioned on stream at one point that I played it once and I didn't really like it. It didn't really gel with me, but replaying it, I found I really liked Claire's route in comparison to Leon's, and I'm still struggling to articulate why exactly that is, but I really enjoyed Claire's campaigns, but yeah, something, I don't know why I didn't really like Leon's one as much. Alright. Gone to school. Gotta get a good education, I'll take the steel pipe, which I think, to my recollection, basically invalidates the knife. But then again, not like I really use the knife anyway. Alrighty. I bought the 1 to 3 remakes because I never really played the originals, since Resident Evil 4 was my first and favorite for a while. I was late to Resident Evil 4 because, it had this sort of reputation as like the survival horror killer, like this stuff here, like that's on screen right now is what I'm most comfortable with, and what I enjoy the most, probably, or at least that's what I tend to think. But RE4 I thought was phenomenal, and that's something that I was really worried about as well. Sick to the fact that the remake removed the tank controls, and the really careful positioning. I thought the act of positioning in that game was one of the most intelligent shooter ideas I've ever seen, because you were still powerful, but you were also like totally vulnerable at the same time. I thought having to carefully select where you're going to stand, it's an amazing decision. And I was really worried that the remake would invalidate that somehow, but it didn't. I was very glad to see that it didn't. Probably a doghouse, though I'm not sure since there's no dog around. Nothing in particular around. No, the radio's going off. Definitely a completely different feeling compared to the newer games. Yeah. Well, the newer games, they've got more of that actiony sheen to them. But I still found that the RE4 remake kept the intensity like high enough that it didn't I almost didn't notice the fact that I wasn't standing still anymore. Like the enemies were they felt more aggressive and their attacks were more impactful, and the knife parry thing was like a stroke of genius. I've never been. It's just it was a very impressive game. I would like to play it on stream sometime. I've had plans for a long time to play the original Resident Evil 4 on stream as well and do some video essays on it, but stuff has happened repeatedly over the last couple of months that's just meant my output's been decreased, but hey, I'm hoping to end the year strong. 7 and 8 was solid, but were effectively different games from the earlier ones. Yeah, 7, my favorite Resident Evils, I think, the 1, 4, and 7. I do agree that they are like functionally sort of totally different games, but from the others in the series because of that first person perspective. But I think you still notice the Resident Evil feel really strongly in them. You still got that strong B-movie sort of campy vibe, as well as legitimate scares, which it's not easy. It's not easy to pull off that particular combination, to sort of have the moments of like laugh out loud absurdity, and also to have genuine moments of terror. Resident Evil 7 at the time was, I remember, one of the few games to actually legitimately frighten me in a long time. I was really impressed with I think the opening 5-6 hours before it gets too actiony, and then that's when my brain starts to shut off in Resident Evil games a little bit. When you get your big assault rifle or whatever, or the action set pieces take precedence over the masterfully constructed horror. But and 8 doubles down on both things really. You've got that great tense atmospheric first half where you're really vulnerable, and then just the second half is actiony sort of combat everywhere. And that's not a bad thing either. I still enjoyed that, but it's a totally different vibe. I'm glad to hear you say, Resident Evil 7, terrifying. I played it through on Madhouse, and that was, it was a painful experience, but it was sort of exactly what I wanted, as well at the time. Just this brutal experience. So I'm just going around. I'm just gonna see what I can scout here and see if there's any items that normally I don't pick up, but I don't think there are really. Oh, there's my car. Right. Good job parking. I think I remember where I parked. You think 8 had a better balance? Yeah, I feel sort of the strict, almost strict 50-50 or maybe 60-40, horror to action. Really does work. I loved 8 as well. I thought Village was such a good game. I haven't got around to the DLC for that one yet though, so I'm not sure. I sort of heard mixed things about, was it called Shadows of Rose or something? I just didn't get time to play that one, but I sort of heard mixed things about how they utilized the third-person perspective somehow, or just that the enemies weren't very fun to fight or something like that. I need to go down here again. I've already been down here. Killed those enemies for no reason. Just practicing my marksmanship. Because that's a part of the end 10-star ranking system in this game, is how accurate Harry is, which is a shame because I'm pretty sure he's the least accurate protagonist in the entire series, which is cool, but not fun when you're going for a high star ranking. Okay, so we want to go all the way down to the bottom here. I think I turned too early, before. Alright, so don't stop for the dog. Yeah, obviously the best part of Village for me were the earlier sections, because I always prefer not just my horror, but my protagonists in general to be challenged, to sort of have this adversity. I played Resident Evil 4 on the hardcore difficulty, I think it was, the first time around. And I found that turned everything, like every encounter, into a legitimate puzzle. And that really appealed to me. That idea that every encounter was all of a sudden something that had to be figured out with the unique amounts of ammo that I collected. Yeah, it was a really special experience. Playing it through on that hardest difficulty. What's this? Doghouse, Levin Street. Alright, we're going to investigate the doghouse more closer this time, are we, Harry? And nothing on these ones. Back into the fog. Really enjoyed the callbacks to Resident Evil 4 and 8 with the reintroduction of a merchant character. Just the village, castle to industrial area. Yeah, it was really clear, right, that that's exactly what they were going for. I think you nailed it, yeah, Nasikta, with that description. It was like a reimagining of Resident Evil 4 and the reboot world from 7. Absolutely. House key, so we're going to go into the house. Just going to ignore the dogs. No dogs here. Alrighty. First aid kit, absolutely. Yeah, clear to me that they wanted almost another crack at making Resident Evil 4, which they had again with the remake, but making it, yeah, within the context of that sort of new world that they'd created in Resident Evil 7. I do think, yeah, it will be really interesting to see what happens in Resident Evil 9 to the formula, whether they go back to third person or whether they're going to make it sort of a thematic trilogy and keep it all first person. I think, yeah, it'll be interesting to see, but I know that's probably, we're still going to get that reveal a few years away. Also, not new, yeah, because Chris is still around. Yeah, there's this sort of, I think that's what worries me sometimes about the Resident Evil series, is that they don't have confidence in their new ideas, and they think, like a lot of franchises do, that fan service is what keeps the wheels turning, and to some degree it is, but there's this this sort of uncomfortable tension almost between appealing to your longtime fans and also having the confidence to do something artistically different. And yeah, I don't know, it's sort of it's really this curious thing. Yeah, I mean, it's all supposed to be part of the same canon, but there is, I think, yeah, like this thematic disjunction, almost, kind of like a dysfunctional sort of, well, there's this whole messy backstory, and what Resident Evil 7 did so well was like cut back on their backstory, right? And you didn't have to worry about what was going on with all this sort of other biohazardy stuff. You could pick up 7 and play it just fine, but then you sort of started to have this prior knowledge required start to creep in 8, and it's not overwhelming, and you still don't need to have played any others in the series probably to have played it, but Yeah. Just wondering if it's like the GTA universe is changing between the console generations. Yeah, I don't know. Like there's still indications, obviously like references to everything that's happened before in 7 and in 8. 7 had references to even stuff like um, Resident Evil Outbreak, I think, which was, that's sort of like the co-op one for PlayStation 2, which I also have not played in a long time. Maybe I should go back and revisit that as well. But it had all these sort of, it's clearly a continuous, I think, clearly a continuous universe. Off limits. It's a good thing Harry can't read. Alrighty. A dog's head. Someone looks like they played basketball with it. There's a key of Woodman. Take it. Yes, please. Health drink. Take it. That's what I like about survival horror protagonists. They see like a drink sitting on top of a garbage bin, and they're like, yeah, I'll have that. I'll have that. That's for me. This is my drink. It was made for me. So if we collect this last key, and then we'll be able to go to the school. Yeah, the last time I played this game through in full was actually an attempt for my blog, and I realized like I still keep looking back at it, and I think I didn't finish the series that I was supposed to be writing, like this sort of like analysis while I played through it, but in written form rather than in stream form, because I think that I started that sort of a few months before I tried streaming for the first time, or something similar. And I never finished that, so maybe this stream will finish it for me in some sense, or maybe this playthrough will allow me to make my thoughts concrete again, because I have a lot of fond memories, particularly of this section of the game for some reason, just wandering around the streets. You gotta like wander around an edge here, don't you? Oop. There's a lot of great stuff about this game, and I think what keeps people returning to these games has got to be the mood, the atmosphere. People really do remember that stuff really vividly. What they obviously don't vividly remember is where the key is. Here we go. I knew you had to cross something, but I could have sworn it was on the other side. Key of Scarecrow. Yes, please. And another drink, it's just... Someone just left it out on their porch. I can just imagine someone going in, they're having a few drinks out with their friends. All their friends go inside. And then Harry Mason just comes past, and he's like, oh, free drinks. Takes them all, and then everybody comes back outside to continue the party, and there's nothing left. Cleared them all out, That's how survival horror works. It runs on theft. The appropriation of other people's soft drinks and, health drinks, they're healthy, very healthy. Nothing over there. It's the fog, People say that all the time, right? I love, it's the fog. Who doesn't love fog? But, yeah, just, that's the way it goes, yeah. It's all survival horror, just a big metaphor for life. Even the hero of the story, just as likely to scam people out of their health drinks and their bullets that they just leave lying around, thinking they'll be safe, but nothing's safe from Harry Mason, apparently. Take anything that's not nailed down. Not that there's anyone around here to claim it, but Alrighty. Back in we go. Cool, we'll be able to unlock this door now. Got all the keys. Use the key of Lion. Use the key of Woodman. And the key of Scarecrow. Alright. It's unlocked. Go through the school. What? It's getting dark again. Read his mind. What's going on? Alright, torch. Much more effective than the lighter. I love this, yeah, the sudden shift in the music just becomes so sinister. The soundscape just tells you that everything has become totally wrong. In a functioning society, you honestly should expect to not have your things stolen if you leave them lying around. Yes. At worst, thrown away, yeah. Just, you know, if you just leave something, you know, why would someone take it? To be fair, he wouldn't need the health drinks if the people didn't let their large rabid birds and dogs roam the town. Yeah, where's animal control when you need them, you know? That's a great question. Really, you know, you can blame this on, you know, the underfunded animal control department in Silent Hill. That would really help out, you know. What happened? Did the pound get, like, shut down, or... Does the pound even take, you know, giant pterodactyls? I don't know. I don't know what you'd need to catch them. A big net? Alright, I think this takes us onto the street that we want, right? Yeah, and then we take a right. Silent Hill would be a nice place if they could just get funding for a shelter and some animal control. Exactly. Just gotta start like a... You know, Harry Mason's gotta start like a fundraising event, you know. He could run a marathon around Silent Hill. I mean, look at him go. Marathon event. Yeah, GoFundMe, yeah. Restart the Silent Hill animal pest control service. Excuse me. Alright. Made it to the school. And yeah, the first time I played this game, I missed the map in the school. So the puzzles in the school were about 50 billion times harder. It was good though. I had to bust out the pen and paper. Really strong memories of doing that. I really loved doing that. But it's not something I want to do on stream necessarily. Maybe one day I'll have to like set up like a camera that just like hovers over the desk, and you'll just be able to see my hand like scribbling down like puzzle solutions and that kind of thing. Maybe, I don't know. That might be a fun idea. Watch me like draw my own maps. Horror game cartographer. Extra fund will go to revamping the school and hospital. Yeah, that's the upper tiers of the fund. Health drink, absolutely. Taking all of them. Why not take one from the school? And the first aid kit. Get the feeling there aren't any children around this time who are going to need it. Save here. Making pretty good time, I think. I want someone to make a Silent Hill pest control ad where Harry became an exterminator after the events of the game. Yeah, sounds like I'm gonna have to make a thumbnail, right, for the VOD. Are your streets filled with pterodactyls? Do you leave health drinks lying around? Well, I'm the cleaner / exterminator of Silent Hill, you know. I work even on vacations. More Ronaldo Gordon. This must be the list of teachers. Alright. So this is where we get all the information about the puzzles for the school. So 10 o'clock, alchemy laboratory. Gold in an old man's palm, the future hidden in his fist, exchange for Sage's water. Okay. It's written in blood. 5 o'clock. Darkness that brings the choking heat. Flames rend the silence, awakening the hungry beast. Open time's door to beckon prey. How else did he manage to keep Cheryl in school? Yeah, that's... It's a tough, you know, it's tough being an exterminator. This is why he shows just no hesitation. And he might not be accurate, but he's enthusiastic, you know, that counts for a lot when you're working a job. 12 o'clock. A place with songs and sound. A silver guidepost is untapped and lost tongues, awakening at the ordained order. Okay. And then through here, this is the staff room, I think, yeah. So we got this really cool portrait here, this painting. Picture of a door. Don't know who drew it, but it is certainly in bad taste. Yeah, this is, you know, it's a bad look for the faculty, really. This is also a bad look for the faculty. Handgun bullets. Interesting. James was Harry's apprentice and was supposed to take over after Harry relocated, but James was lazy. That sounds like James. Yeah, it's locked. All right, back down this way. This is such a cozy game, you know. I love this game. Hey. I could not have picked a worse time to say that. It's such a cozy game. So nice. But it's such a good game, honestly. I have such fond memories of just like sitting in the corner, playing on this tiny wee TV, disc whirring in the PlayStation 1. It's so nice. Just everything about it. Right, this is the sort of the fake enemy, like this ghost child. I like how it still triggers the radio, so you still get that initial like, oh, there's an enemy in here. But no, there's not. Cheryl comes back to reclaim the family business and erase James's taint on the business. Poor James. Such a bad rap. So that's the true story of Silent Hill. I've been analyzing it all wrong. All this time. Unbelievable. Can't believe I missed the obvious subtext that everybody was just part of the same family exterminator business. The story behind the story, yeah. The story they don't want you to know. No one tells you about it, but it's really, once you understand that, you know, everything just gets blown wide open. But, you know, and then of course there's Henry, you know. He was really trying, but he couldn't figure a way out of his apartment. So he had to practice at home, you know, the exterminator business before he could go pro. I can't remember. Is there anything in the stalls? I don't think there is. At least not in the normal world. No, can't interact with the stalls. I say normal world, but it's like pitch black outside. But the not horrible one. The semi-horrible one. There's nothing in these ones either, is there? I can't pick anything up in here. Okay. Just can we look upstairs, I guess? I think the boiler room is down here, right? Oh, no, nothing inside. Must be on the other side of the school. Alright. piano puzzle is somewhere around here, isn't it? I don't want to jinx myself, but I really like the piano puzzle. A lot of people complain about it, I seem to recall. Maybe just because they're not expecting it, but I always thought it was a really clever puzzle. And these are the classrooms that are modeled after the Schwarzenegger film, Kindergarten Cop, right? Because Team Silent didn't have any other references to what the inside of an American primary school would look like. And, you know, like, it's a pretty good thing to model a horrifying school off of. It was an inspired choice that echoes down the ages, really. Is there anything in here? Just there's something like really nice about the game and how it looks. It's just, I think, yeah, I keep coming back to the word cozy. Like as I'm playing it, it's just the word cozy just keeps resurfacing in my mind. Like you can sort of see how inaccurate he is, especially when he's moving. I think it should be these enemies. They appear more childlike in the PAL versions. I can't remember what the name of the enemies. The Grey Children. I think Grey Children, and these are like mumblers or something, if I remember correctly. I think I'm getting them around the right way. Yeah. And these ones got like little knives. They're obviously like still intended to represent children, but they sort of had the edges filed off or something. Non-American version, yeah. Small, really messed up kids with knives, yeah. And since I'm, you know, from a power region normally, that's the version I normally play. But I figured I'd try the NTSC version, just because I haven't before. No, it's an interesting change, but as far as I remember, the Grey Children still reappear like later. Yeah, creepy aliens. Yeah, written in blood. I'm impressed you can read that font, Harry. Tale of birds without a voice. First flew the greedy pelican, eager for the reward. White wings flailing. Then came a silent dove, flying beyond the pelican as fast as he could. So, you know, obviously we got the pelican as first. The dove is next, so that's a broken key, right? Because it's silent. Many demogorgons. That's a good modern analog for them, I think. A raven flies in, flying higher than the dove, just to show that he can. A swan glides in to find a peaceful spot next to another bird. Finally, out comes a crow, coming quickly to a stop, yawning and then napping. Who will show the way? Who will be the key? Who will lead to the silver reward? So we got to play the... I love the little hop that you can make him do. Look at that. He's so graceful. Yeah. In another life, Harry, you would have made a great ballet artist. It is definitely curious, the kinds of censorship that happens, and the method by which some developers evade the censorship laws. Like sometimes it can be the smallest things that will appeal to the board that's censoring it. Yeah, okay, something's going on in the lockers. Let's see. Yeah, it's definitely a curious issue. Just a cat. Hopefully the cat's alright. Oh, I spoke too soon. Nothing inside. Yeah, there's a lot of as far as I understand, yeah, a lot of puritanical sort of censorship and banning over in the States to a lot of things, which I think is a shame. Particularly the kinds of stuff that gets censored is the kind of stuff that shouldn't really offend anybody. At least that's what I hear, you know. It's definitely, you know, there's sort of, it's curious, the distinction, and how those kinds of distinctions were made early on. In that instance, like, to some degree, I can understand the impulse to do that, but I feel like if you're fighting, I don't know, I feel like if you're fighting explicitly monsters, you know, that are coded to have no you know, like no real human features, you know, that there's just sort of this metaphorical construction. It's kind of silly that people get tied up in knots over it. And yeah, like the stuff, you're right, Token All Night, you know, like the stuff that you can get away with, like in those big budget open world RPGs and, you know, sandbox games, you know, it's a million times worse than really anything the developers could come up with on their own. You know, some of the horrible things players get up to in those. But yeah, it's really curious. Yeah, Nosikta, yeah, the moment something hurts someone's puritanical, hyper-nationalistic, yeah, has to go. Yeah. No, it's a shame. It really is. When art is censored for no good reason, there is sort of, you know, there's a point where the art, like if the art is made to be intentionally harmful towards a certain group, like actively harmful, then obviously like you've got to approach it differently. But the destruction of the art still possibly not valid, because it's only through preservation and understanding, you know, and confrontation, confronting that kind of harmful legacy, and discussion is much more fruitful than just shutting stuff away in the vault or whatever. Though I understand that impulse too. Okay, what rooms haven't I been in? Right, I need to go in here. Sorry, I missed your previous. Or Devil May Cry 5 on PlayStation in America. Only some of the nudity was edited. That's curious. So like the game still has nudity, but they just decided to get rid of some of it. Like, is there like it's like a volume, you know, a volume of nudity allowed, and the the developers are like, okay, like, I guess we can strip it down. That's curious. That's very curious. I hadn't heard of that that one actually. Glucose, no reason to take it. Nothing useful on the shelf. Is there anything else in here? Aren't you thirsty? Don't you want your distilled water that's been sitting on the shelf for who knows how long? It's just as nice for you as the health drink you picked up out of the garbage. Do you like, yeah, and how in some of the rooms in Silent Hill you'll get this random ambient, just sort of droning, just really like making you feel uncomfortable, even in a room that's meant to be totally safe. I think the main thing, yeah, about what you're saying that's curious to me is that it's only in the one region. It's sort of strange that that was the one region that said, hey, look out, you know, we can't have this. Statue of an old man's hand, the fist shut tight as if never to let go. Now, One region. Oh, on the one console as well. How curious. What a strange world we live in. Chemical. Use this on the hand, right? Here you go. So we'll burn this open. Gold medallion. Yep. Take the gold medallion. Alrighty. So we need to do something with the gold medallion. As to what it is, I cannot quite remember off the top of my head. Do we have the memos in this game? If we do, how do we get there? No, okay. We'll just run back down. Cool, got him. Locked. So we need the reserve key if I remember correctly. Because there's we're going to get access to the library reserve at some point anyway, because there's a book in there that's going to tell us how to beat the boss of the school, if I remember correctly. Okay. Where should I go now? Back down to the thing, right? We got to read that other clue again. So we did the first clue, which was 10 a.m. So the time is just to indicate what order we're supposed to do these things in, and because there's a clock tower attached to this puzzle as well. Small crawlers in the alley at the beginning. Originally going to be babies. That was changed early on because they were like, no, this won't pass. That's fair. That they probably recognized, oh, hang on, this isn't gonna fly. There's still there's the opening video of Silent Hill 4 has all the twin victims, like running down that big corridor in Water Prison World towards you, and you sort of hear the scream, which sounds like a baby's, like a baby's scream or a child's scream. And obviously that was cut, that was taken out for the full release. Yeah. So there you can see like aspects of it coming through, and then there are times when that kind of effect actually somehow, like very rarely, but somehow adds to the game. I mean, the censorship of the videotape in Silent Hill 2, I thought actually really works. Really works very well. Keeps the ambiguity there. Which one was it? Open times door. Hang on, what's this? Okay. Silver guidepost. I guess, right, that means we go back to the piano. So the piano should be unlocked now. We're going to check it out. So if we go back upstairs and find that piano again, we're going to do that piano puzzle. I think it was this floor, right? Yeah, faster if I go down this, all the way down the corridor there. Alright, and then if we pop in here, is it unlocked? What do we have to, right, we gotta put this medallion in the clock tower thing first, right? Forgotten that step. I should probably actually do that. Yeah, that Red Baron quest I thought was very well done. Very well handled. I mean, a lot of people point to that as sort of being the high point of the game in terms of writing as well, anyway. And that's one of those, I'll often think, that was a great game, maybe one day I should replay that. And then I sort of realize, oh, that would entail you to play, put down another 50 hours into a game you've already played before. And it's not, you know, not the same prospect as replaying something like a horror game, which, you know, is much shorter. Replaying a big RPG like that. Hell, I don't even know the last RPG I actually properly started, or like stuck with, just because of the time investment. I just have not had the time. I barely have the time to play anything, to be honest. It's been like, I think the list of RPGs just in my unplayed pile is like scarily high, but I just haven't played it, played any of them in such a long time. I haven't tried, just because I know that it's going to require such a, not just a big time investment, but like a big like energy investment to learn all of these sort of mechanics, and also to make sure my biggest problem, I think, with RPGs these days is like, if you don't spec your character right, you find out like 25 hours in that you've made like a suboptimal build. And it's not so bad for like shorter RPGs, because then it's like, oh, okay, now I know what I'm doing, now I'll replay it. But if I have invested like 20 hours and I have to remake my character, I find that deeply frustrating. Yeah, one of those side quests is better than the main quest. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely it is. Written in blood, alright. So, we got, yeah, I gotta write this down. Give me a second. I got some. Alright, so we've got the pelican. So the pelican is gonna be a white, it's gonna be a white key. Okay, so we got white key. Then we got a dove, and that's going to be a silent white key. And then raven, so we got a black key, right? Flying higher than the dove. So that'll be an important clue to remember. Swan glides in to find peaceful spot, so we're thinking another quiet white, a broken white maybe, and then crow, so we got black. Alright, cool. Okay, so if we come back around, let's have a look. I'm not going to get it first try, obviously. There's some blood on some of the keys. Does this mean anything? Check the piano. Yes, check the piano. So we've got... Right, so we got a broken one there. An active one there. So both of these are broken. Right. Broken. Okay. Just gonna reread what does the pelican section say again? White wings flailing. First flew the greedy pelican. So we gotta think, right, so if it flies beyond the pelican, so the dove has got to be the broken key. There's a broken key on the far right, isn't there? So that'll be the dove. Or the... Yeah, so that... What is it? So it'll be like this, raven, flying higher than the dove, so it'll be like this. Swan glides in to find peaceful spot. This, no, what is it, this one? Okay. Go back in again. Check the piano, yep. So if we got that, then that one, then, which one was it? This one? And then, was the crow, was the last one, was the raven or the crow, was that meant to be silent? Raven flies in, higher than the dove, just to show that you can. Yep. Swan glides in to find a peaceful spot next to another bird. Yeah, that makes sense. Out comes a crow, coming quickly to a stop, yawning and then napping. Okay, I gotta double check which one. Which black is. Which black was broken? Okay, so we got. Right, alright. So it was. I'm just gonna write this down. So we're thinking far left. Then. Second from the right, above dove, then second from the left, and then I'm thinking far right black theoretically. Okay, let's try this. So far left, this one. Is that right? Or has the other one, hang on, just got to keep running back and checking the board. Raven flies higher than the dove, yeah. It's where the last one goes, I think, that I'm confused about. We got left, second from the right. Let's say that one. Second from the left. And then we're going to try this one. Is that it? No. Hang on. Okay, hang on. We gotta. They all got to be silent. So if so, that one, that one. That one. That one. That one? No. Because I was thinking this would be the pelican. Then the dove flies away. Then this one goes above the dove just because you can. This one comes beside. Is there another silent key that I'm missing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, there's 5 silent keys, right? So it makes sense. I'm just doing it in the wrong order. Man, you can tell it's been too long. I'll try this order again. Okay, not that way. Puzzles with HGA. This is about as long as it usually takes. So that one. So yeah, it's these two here. Okay. Yes, it means something, Harry. We don't need to keep asking that. So what if we try starting here? Then this one, then this one, then this one, then this one. No? What am I missing? Because it's definitely not. Like, yeah, it has to be, if something is going to fly in above the dove has to be either here or here, right? Because the only 2 silent keys are these ones that connect to. Let me read it one more time. I can do this. Come on, I can do this. First flew the greedy pelican, eager for the reward. Then came a silent dove, flying behind the pelican as far as he could. A raven flies in, flying higher than the dove just to show he can. A swan glides in to find a peaceful spot next to another bird. Here comes a crow. Maybe. Okay. That one. That one. That one. That one. Gotcha. I think I was getting that swan one round the wrong way. Alright. Success. Got the silver medallion, so now we can go and take that down to the clock tower. Sorry, Nosector, I was totally focused on my puzzle. I like how Cyberpunk's new update played it where you can just respec whenever you want for free. That's a fantastic idea because I feel like so many RPGs, you know, there's something to be said for an old school approach too, but I think what it really comes down to is games, you know, at the end of it should respect a player's time. And if a game doesn't respect a player's time, then it's got to be doing some serious other things right to make up for that deficit. In my eyes, you know, like I like my games to be, you know, masochistic and horrible and difficult. Total is locked. Alright. Hands are stopped at 5. Gotta go get that. Gotta go turn the boiler on, right? But I also, you know, like spending 50 gazillion hours in a game only to realize you've done it all wrong is a special kind of disheartening, particularly when that's not the point of the game. I mean, you know, thinking of The Void, there's such a good feeling of like playing and knowing that I'm about to fail, but that was built into the game mechanics. Whereas if I can't just beat like a boss because I picked the wrong stats 30 hours ago, and it doesn't, you know, that's not the point of the game. It's not trying to make me feel that. Then I obviously don't appreciate it anywhere near as much. This book. About to play Project Zomboid, which failure is definitely the point. Yeah, like if you are gonna have that kind of failure, like you got to have it baked into the game design. The player has got to understand that this is the expectation from this game. Otherwise, it's just pointless, right? The player just gets really frustrated. I think it's this book then. Project Zomboid is great as well, and I've been playing some Fear and Hunger too. I wrote a wee blog post about how I was feeling about that game, but suffice it to say, yeah, really loving it. I'm not very far because, you know, it's obviously very hard and I haven't had very much time to play it, but I've absolutely adored what I've played so far, so I'm really hoping to get more into it and actually surpass the first few levels of the dungeon. I need to know I'm screwed so I can fight against the odds. Yeah, that's exactly right. It's exactly how I like to play games just in general. If a game doesn't have a good level of challenge, generally I sort of find it quite, like, I don't know. It's not that it's not fun, but it's less satisfying. I always like my characters. It sounds really mean, but I always like my characters, you know, to really like suffer, and the victory's got to feel earned, you know. I guess that's how I like to feel about myself in reality as well, you know. Like I wanna feel like I've actually achieved something, and I guess the way that I play probably reflects that. Okay, darkness that brings the choking heat. Flames render the silence, awakening the hungry beast. Alright, so do we turn the boiler on? Which side is the boiler on? Other side. Let's go. I love his running animation. He's got such a good waddle. Alright. Did I? Yes, I did go the right way. Yeah. Just gotta go into the boiler room. Yes, another button's on, right? Do you want to press the switch? Yes. Can hear it slowly getting louder. Just how I like my industrial machinery to sound aggressive. Friendly. And I do like how you can sort of still hear it in the corridor outside, I think. Just a little bits of, like, careful attention to detail like that is really make or break in games like this. And that's why it remains so fixed in people's imagination, is because they can actually believe that they themselves could be in the situation. Not only because it's that immersive, but because it allows for that imaginative state really easily. Managed to get my first Fear and Hunger ending. Congratulations, I'm a long way away from that. Besides the basic, I went and then left at the first opportunity, bad ending. It was so satisfying to work towards it. Yeah, like that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing right now, and it is like every new bit of ground is just one of the most satisfying experiences in gaming. It's like every it reminds me of the feeling of my first playthrough of Pathologic and like breaking through to every new day. Like that felt more like amazing than like finishing some games, you know, like it's, you know, I guess it's like the equivalent to like beating a really hard boss, you know. You sort of get that same feeling of almost like euphoria, I guess, because you've passed through a difficult experience and you've emerged from the other side. Okay, so we've gone through the clock tower and emerged somewhere else. So into like a reverse version of the school, so the other world.
I don't remember this being here before.
No, I feel like we would have remembered that, right? Unfortunately, didn't go in entirely blind, so I knew the ending before I went for it. Still quite a challenge regardless. Fortunately, thanks for your recommendation of it as well, by the way, but I managed to go in, completely blind, and I'm enjoying just every new little like scrap of information that I find, or every new enemy that I find. I've got no idea what awaits me next. That is the way video games are supposed to be played, especially horror games. Instantly fell in love with the lore, and I couldn't help myself. I think you and I are wired very similarly, by the sounds of it. Yeah, I'm infatuated with that kind of stuff. I mean, there's a reason I'm horror game analysis, right? Rather than some other genre. Just that kind of really dark, decrepit atmosphere and feeling, and I think like ancient evil, you know, like that's something I can get behind. I really love that, just that trope of just like something truly like ancient and unknowable and horrible and warped. That's got to be one of my favorite just like tropes. I don't care how many times it's used, like I'm all over it, you know. If it's done well, it just makes me like a work like 10 times more. Learning about that stuff, it's so interesting. Yeah, I got a stump on this one. Gotcha. What room is this supposed to be? The hall. Nice, good gathering place. How's my health looking? Yeah, thought so. See the red behind his head there? He's in danger. What's this? Cards are scattered. Picture card, take it. So that's going to slot into the faculty painting of a door, which has, I believe, transformed itself. So another inspired use of perspective and art in Silent Hill. I changed my mind. I'm playing Funga. Zomboid feels like too much to juggle. Zomboid is great, but it does require a decent amount of mental capacity. It's also like very bleak. So yeah, like I get that. Alright, so the room's changed slightly, I think, since we were last in here. No, I don't know. I guess I guess generally I just sort of crave like a bleak, horrible, horrible mood. I mean, I don't know what to say. I prefer if that wasn't happening in reality, of course, but like when it comes to my media, you know, there's a certain itch that must be scratched, and it seems to come from that kind of thing for whatever reason. Ah. I don't take very many bullets. I wonder if how many have I used? Am I like running out? I got 35. I should probably like start like actually saving them. Alright, in we go. See, I always thought this was like one of the coolest ideas. Playable Eldritch Horror, God tier gaming, yeah. Just something about, you know, I guess it adds to that feeling of like the insurmountable odds and putting your character through the ringer, you know, like this is something that's just so dark and depraved, you know, you couldn't even, like the mind boggles to even, you know, contemplate it. Stakes don't get much higher than that. Alright, so we got this door. What? Is this a door? If it is, there's no keyhole or even a knob. If I push it, it moves a bit, but it certainly won't open. What's this? Center of the door is a horizontal slot. What is it for? It's probably for the card. Darkwood scratches that itch too. Absolutely. I need to keep playing that. I got so far through it, and then and then I put it down one day, and I said no, I'll play some more tomorrow, and then I just never did. It fell off the radar. There's so many games like that. Why does that keep happening to me? Do I have to pencil in? Do I have to pencil in game time? Is that what my life has become? Gotta, you know, it's gotta. I guess, you know, like put it in the calendar, I suppose. Video game time. Let nothing interrupt me. It's gotta admit that's partly what the stream has been nice to do, is just have an excuse to play some stuff and just relax, you know. I haven't played Neo Scavenger before. Is that a horror-y sort of one, or more of a generic survival sort of? I feel like I've heard of it, but I know approximately nothing about it. I always like this little subtle sort of mindfuckery here of you going in one floor and exiting in the other. So now are we back on the, you know, now we're back on the ground floor, right? It's just cool. And Silent Hill 2 reuses that in the Lakeview Hotel, sort of, right at the very end. What could be in here? Nothing good. A hanging body. Why would somebody... Here's a shotgun. Take it. Not that it did this guy any good, we can presume. Leonard Rhine, The Monster Lurks. So now we know what book we need to read. The Monster Lurks, what's that supposed to mean? Hard to explain. It's like post-apocalyptic, hex-based, turn-based hobo simulator on the outskirts of Detroit with RPG elements. It certainly sounds very interesting. And it sounds like it's, you know, like a brutal sort of simulationist experience. Probably the kind of thing I'd enjoy. Oh. Strange but fun, and will kill you out of nowhere. Nice. Just complete... No. What's the word? Complete lack of mercy. That's what I was looking for. I like the sound of some supernatural elements. Cool. No, I have to look into that. Neo Scavenger. I have to look into it for sure. Thanks for the recommendation. Yeah, if anyone has any good horror-y stuff that I haven't heard of before, always keen to try. The phone ringing just as I go to leave. Just typical. I've got errands to run here. Love the slow zoom here. It's really nice.
Cheryl.
That was Cheryl's voice. I know it. Where is she? Cheryl. Alright. Through we go. Unlock that. Not super scary, but you're still struggling to have two sticks rubbed together literally for the basics of life. That sounds like the kind of adversity I like to put my characters through. And I assume as well, it sounds kind of like a story generator kind of thing, which is also what I like, because that's what fuels the imagination as well. Is like you have these sort of simulationist elements, but there's also like enough breadth to insert your own sort of your own moments. You know, like it creates like story moments, and the human brain is remarkably good at creating story and weaving everything together, right? And that's what, you know, like, I think I've discussed it before, but like big strategy games tend to do that very well, that kind of thing. Pick skills and you can use them during written story moments. Yeah, I guess what I was referring to was sort of like how we can create stories out of this simulation, without any need for actual necessarily scripted story moments. We still have the capacity to make those moments ourselves, which I think is a huge part, for me, of sort of, you know, what makes us human. I consider it very important. Our ability to tell stories and to recount stories, deeply important. Oh, dodge that. Lock is jammed. I just say, yeah, it's so nice to be streaming again. I really missed it. Especially, you know, especially a game like this. It's so comfortable. Just be a cat again, right? Oh no, nothing this time. That's fine then. Nothing inside. Just what looks like the smallest, like you can see, I think, I might be wrong, but like Cheryl's sort of face there at least a couple of times, in blood, which is a pretty effective moment. That's the jump scare that this game is pretty famous for, because you get two fake outs before you get the actual jump scare, which is really, you know, how you set up a good jump scare. You sort of like, oh, nothing's gonna happen. They're not actually gonna scare me here. They're just joking around. But then of course they don't pull that final punch there. Locked. Run back past all the bugs and stabby children. It sounds like, yeah, it sounds like the kind of game that you wouldn't really touch the story on very much at all. Just because everything else, like the difficulty and the depth of everything else is sort of too large to tackle by the sounds of it. No, but I remain really impressed with the original Silent Hill's use of space, and I mean I plan to produce a video on it at some point, similar to my Silent Hill 2 video, because there's a lot of really great and subtle things that the first game does. Even just with the texture work, just corroding everything in a subtle way, and the sort of the use of, again, like the use of specific sound effects is really integral to creating this immersive quality. And even just like these tiny little bits of random detail, like there's books here on the shelf scattered in this oddly specific, very human way. Pretty sure people have made videos like with Zomboid where they just build a character and try to survive. So you don't really need the story. Yeah, I think that's, in a way, that's almost like the magic of a good game like that. Is just the fact that you can build out your own experience from it. What's this? The Monster Lurks is the book's title. Chapter 3, Manifestation of Delusions. You just start from chapter 3. It's not like you need anything else. People definitely don't say that about Silent Hill 3, but poltergeists are among these. Negative emotions like fear, worry, or stress manifest into external energy with physical effects. Nightmares have, in some cases, been shown to trigger them. However, such phenomena do not appear to happen to just anyone, though it's not clear why adolescents, especially girls, are prone to such occurrences. Cool. So, girls just can dip into the other world sometimes. Particularly if your name is Alessa. Alright, some handgun bullets, yes. Hearing this, the hunter armed with bow and arrow said, "I will kill the lizard." But upon meeting his opponent, he held back, taunting, "Who's afraid of a reptile?" At this, the furious lizard hissed, "I'll swallow you up in a single bite." Then the huge creature attacked, jaws opened wide. This was what the man wanted. Calmly drawing his bow, he shot into the lizard's gaping mouth. Effortlessly, the arrow flew, piercing the defenseless maw, and the lizard fell down dead. This is from an old fairy tale. I remember reading it as a kid. And that's a hint for how we deal with our very own lizard that we will probably get to see soon. Imagine I'll go for another arrow or so. I reckon. So we've been in there. Locked classroom. Locked. Alright, back through we go, I suppose. And we'll go upstairs. I want to get to the roof now, I think. I want to see the roof anyway. To me, I think this sort of remains the most... it seems to remain the inspiration for most PS1 inspired, PSX inspired indie horror games. Original Silent Hill. I think people chase after this game's aesthetic more than anything else, and I think in my video that would be something I'd like to explore as to what it is about this game specifically, as compared to Resident Evil, that either stuck with people or appealed to people more. There's a hanging key, it's just out of reach. Turn the valve here. I want to open the drainage valve. It is raining, we want to let some water through the water tank. But I think it, in part it's the it drains to the wrong hole. Maybe I could plug that up somehow. In part, it's the simplicity, I think, of everything that's going on. I mean, it's almost like video game horror stripped down to its core essentials, but done really, really well. I see everything is really considered and well used in appropriate places. Use the rubber ball. That'll do. The equivalent of a good sealant. Just use a rubber ball. Okay, here we go. Okay, so then we have to follow it down to the, where is it, the basement or the courtyard? It might be the courtyard actually. Can't remember if we can get back into the, no, the boiler room has the lizard in it if I remember correctly, so we gotta go back to the courtyard I think. Alright, down we go. Okay. Yeah, it's sort of curious. I think this is the game that I guess the Silent Hill fan base, you know, I see a lot of comments, you know, like oh, why didn't they choose to remake 1 first? And like I get that because there's a lot of natural curiosity as to what would be saved, you know, in 1, you know, what would 1 look like if it was taken out of this this epoch, you know, this the era in which it was made. I mean, it wouldn't be this game anymore. Obviously, it would be something totally different. You wouldn't be playing Silent Hill 1 anymore. But what would the developers consider the essence of this game to be? Remaking these games is, yeah, it's not a task I would envy. To be honest, it just seems like such an enormous, stressful task to undertake. So if you go to the classroom now, the classroom was up on the 2nd floor, I think. Yes, it was. Look it this way. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of part of the issue, almost the anxiety I think some people feel is like Silent Hill 1 is just getting further and further away in some sense. It's getting harder and harder to access. Less and less people would be interested in playing it, I think. You know, players like myself who revisit this kind of game and still love it. There are obviously many people like me, but not exactly a majority. Most people will prefer their game to look more modern. You know, that seems to be most a condition to be a gamer or to play video games. For a lot of people, is that, you know, it's got to be cutting edge technology. It's got to be integrated somehow. And obviously that's a huge generalization, but it's still very interesting. That quite often that's what players desire from their game is not necessarily robust design or anything like that, but to sort of to have the technology side of it be robust, you know. And if we're talking glitches, I think it's well documented that the modern games industry doesn't do very well with glitches. Do they really have a bit of a problem? But in part, that's because the games themselves are you know, these technologically advanced pieces. You know, a lot of the technology isn't tested. They've had to work really hard on it, rush it out really quickly. It's really, you know, sort of the self-perpetuating cycle. The developers can't fix the bugs if they're being forced to keep up with the latest trends. I honestly, you know, and again, the minority here, but I really like. I wouldn't care if even if the big developers were still making games that looked like this, but had, you know, had the similar focus of design, had this sort of great sense of what they wanted the game to be, and how the game and the story should actually sort of fit together as part of this integral whole, and not worry so much about being on the cutting edge. But I guess, you know, that's not where we're at, and maybe that's just not the way most people prefer it, and, you know, I guess I can understand that. All right. I need to take a break, take a drink. I'm just going to run an ad for a minute. I will be back. Make sure you guys stand up, take a drink, all that kind of thing as well. See you in a minute. Okay, welcome back. You're gonna have to forgive me for this one. I just looked up the solution for this puzzle because I know for a fact you can get stuck on it for a very long time. So I don't necessarily want to do this legitimately. So 2 left turns on the right valve, which is what we're doing. And again, I can't even remember if this is randomized. This is the first time I've looked up a solution like this. So 2 left turns and then a right turn on the left valve here. Stop turning the valve. Like, my first playthrough, this took so long to do. It was a right turn, right? Yep, right turn. It was really painful, and all subsequent attempts have been painful as well. Okay, cool. That was much less painful than I remember it being. Alright, down we go. So this is the first boss fight of the game. He's also the only boss who can kill you in one hit. He's certainly the most dangerous enemy that we've encountered so far. And he's based off of the lizard that we read about in the book, which is presumably Alessa also read about this lizard. Because obviously Alessa has this great fear of animals. So basically, we got to shoot him enough times so he opens his mouth, and just hopefully when he opens his mouth. So when he opens his mouth, he can do a one-hit kill on you. So it's best just to stay away. What's he doing? I think I missed my opportunity, didn't I? Just gonna reload here. Have one of my health drinks. Okay, we got him to the state we needed to get him to. Yeah, and that's all you need to do. He doesn't actually take damage as far as I'm aware. on the exterior of his body. So the only time he can take damage is when he's opened his mouth like that. But fortunately, he's a pretty easy boss to kill. But you can get really unlucky, and just wind up dead anyway. Just if you happen to run yourself into a wall or something like that. Everything back to normal. You get a sort of another haunting glimpse of Alessa.
What was that? Who in the hell was that?
Where am I? This is a boiler room. What is going on here? Okay, so back to the regular world. And we got a K. Gordon key. So go to K. Gordon's house. Invite ourselves in for supper. All the usual jazz. And now we've got, you can hear the church bell ringing in the distance, which is a pretty nice direct way of signaling to the player where we need to go. I hear a church bell maybe? Who is ringing the bell? Across we go. Balkan Church. Yeah, so just back up this way. Unlocked it. Just gonna save again now that we've beaten the lizard and done that turnstile thing. Turnstile thing, honestly, possibly my least favorite part of this game. I don't know why I insisted on previous playthroughs on just doing it legitimately, but I can tell you it probably wasn't worth it. That was the level of pain even I couldn't handle. What a wonderful camera angle. You really get a sense of, I don't know, it's just nice being able to see the snow falling consistently from top window through to the bottom ones there. I don't even know why. It's just, again, cozy. It's a good, it is. It's a good December game, right? Good Christmassy game. Not that I have a snowy Christmas around where I am, but I'm in summer right now. Just entered summer. But to everyone else out there who enjoys a snowy Christmas, I hope you have a pleasantly snowy Christmas. I've never experienced that before, so let me see. Where am I going? Kay Gordon's house, right? Yes, I gotta go back up the street that way. We'll see what we can get done in the next, 45 minutes or so. 40 minutes or so. Is it down here or is it? No. I swear it's down that alleyway, right? That's the problem, playing so many survival horror games, it's like, I don't know. You remember like bits and pieces of each one and all these sort of facts about them and how to beat this, how to beat that, but then when you're playing through it normally, you sort of randomly forget stuff. Oh, that camera angle was a dead giveaway. Excuse me, dog. Just like, I don't know, just like areas like this, just this abandoned suburbia. I think that's part of the appeal of Silent Hill as well, like at least for me. I think there's this sort of dream that a lot of people have, at least according to the comment sections of Silent Hill soundtracks, is just this dream of being able to like wander sort of just a city, like this abandoned city alone. And I think it's the calm of how it was abandoned for the most part, as compared to Resident Evil's obvious like disaster that people have responded to. This is just sort of eerie, you know, like the people sort of stood up and left, and you have no idea what actually happened to them. But it really contributes to this sort of feel of like the decay of small town life, and that's happened a lot in New Zealand as well. I mean, there are still like some small towns which have a healthy population, are flourishing, but there are some that you drive through and you know you just get this sort of the sense that things are winding down, even if not within the next few decades, but just this mounting sense that some towns, like, I don't know, there's not much there for them. And I get that sense from Silent Hill as well. It's amazing how well they rendered that feeling. Just like the feeling of driving through a city or a town that, you know, you don't know, but you just got this profound sense of like, I don't know, mystery about it. And you see like a storefront that still has a sign up, but there's nothing inside. And yeah, home region was dead the last time I visited, and that was like a decade ago. Yeah, and there's something really strange about what that does to our memories, I think. When we revisit a place that we knew once to be sort of flourishing and happy and all of that, you know, all the sort of, I don't know, we at least associate some positive energy with it. You at least get a sense of, or at least I do, of sort of melancholy out of exploring a space alone, where before you explored it with others, or you saw others in that space. And the exploration of Silent Hill, I think, captures that experience almost perfectly. You know, like the temptation, obviously, like if there are monsters, obviously there's stuff going on, you know, there's action happening. But the temptation, at least on the first playthrough for me, especially in the first 3 Silent Hills, well, actually really the first 2, like, is to go slowly, you know, to sort of savor the feeling. Yeah, and I think that's what I'm talking about, Nasukta, yeah. Thank you for sharing, yeah. Like, all the towns in my area from when I was younger were just not as happy as they were. It makes me question if it was ever good to begin with. And I think that's sort of like how memory is tied to space, like, in a big way. Memory is tied to other people too. And that's why, and like memory is tied to all kinds of things. Like, I don't think we realize it like until something or someone like just passes on, and we sort of have to reconcile, like, oh, how do I remember this person? Like, it's amazing, like the most idle thoughts can sort of trigger like memories of things that you haven't thought about like in years and years and years, and trigger this sort of great sense of like wonder and melancholy again. It's just, yeah, like, it's amazing, just the smallest detail, and your brain, because the human brain is like, all it is just this pattern recognition, and you know, we're very good at that, recognizing patterns and connecting dots and sights and scents and sounds and all these things. Yeah. I'm very sorry to hear that. I'm very sorry for your loss. Even if it was some time ago. It's not easy. And yeah, to have a space colored in that way by negative emotions, I think doesn't encourage one to to return. Apologize. I don't know. I'm generally very melancholic, but I feel like the last month or so has been really hard. So bringing some of it out, obviously, bringing some of my naturally melancholic personality out. Saw a dead deer in the hearse on the way to the funeral. That was a whole spiral of its own. I can imagine that's not a fun thing to see on the way to a funeral, I don't think. Okay, I gotta go through the alley. What am I doing? I'm just like wandering around aimlessly shooting pterodactyls. Come on, Harry. Get your mind back in the game. Rural Massachusetts. Lovely. Is that the normal response? Yeah, it's curious as well how other people interface with the space that we know very well. Bougie rural, right. It's curious, yeah, just everything that we know about a space can be totally different to someone else's impression of it. It's just, yeah, it's really amazing. The human experience. Humans are really amazing creatures in a lot of ways. Got a lot going for us. Quite a lot of things not going for us either. But gotta take the good with the bad. Another part of the human experience at this point, I think. All right. In we go. Gonna see Dalia. What's she eating? Do you like chewing gum or something?
Were you ringing that bell?
Love this music.
I've been expecting you. It was foretold by gyromancy.
I've been expecting you.
What are you talking about?
That's a great point. No sector, I'll get to that in a minute.
I knew you'd come. You want the girl, right?
The girl? You're talking about Cheryl.
I see everything.
You know something? Tell me.
Stay back. Nothing is to be gained from floundering about at random. You must follow the path. The path of the hermit concealed by flowers.
What? What are you talking about?
Here, the flowers, a cage of peace.
No, you can trust her. She's very believable.
Break through the walls of darkness and counteract the wrath of the underworld.
Where's Travis when you need him?
These will help you. Make haste to the hospital before it's too late.
Wait, don't go yet.
My favorite detail of her outfit is definitely the tie. And obviously the fact that Claudia calls back to her, and the fact that they're both sort of barefooted religious extremists. But they're obviously, tied very closely together. And Dalia's extremism affects the rest of the series, basically. Bible. He's very short and to the point about that. We don't learn anything new about Harry's opinion on the Bible. I'll take the Cage of Peace. Allegedly. Drawbridge key. Cool. Your point, yeah. That's why we play games, to face those emotions in more enjoyable ways. Yeah. It's I think you're bang on the money with that one. There's a sense that, like games are games are safe spaces to simulate like these negative emotions, and to go through them in ways that can be vindicating. And obviously, it doesn't work. Not every game works for every person. Some people might find certain games too distressing. Others might be totally unaffected by something someone finds distressing. But quite often people will find games that they can interface with and understand the world through. For me, that was certainly like Pathologic, Silent Hill, like and then like trying to think what else. The Void. These are games that like we engage with emotionally and we understand, and there's something about them really twigs with us, and I think it's really important, to have these kinds of games that we can understand the world through, and that we can be, like infatuated with, for lack of a better term. It's really amazing. Games potential. So I read this wonderful dissertation, I think it was a few weeks ago, and their argument, or they brought up an argument that play is intimate, and I think play has got to be one of the most intimate things a person can do, and you're sort of playing these games, and really what you're doing is really interfacing with yourself, playing with our own concepts and values, and understanding like what makes us tick. It's integral, to sort of have this experience. Sorry, Clawfinger, that's the name of the song. Gotta turn the song off. Wish that just followed us around for the rest of the game now. That song is too good. Hello, Frank Alonzi's. Long time no see. How you doing? I do think, like, it's really special when we find a game like that, and I think it becomes rarer as we get older, in a sense, but also, like, we also know what we like a bit more. I don't know, maybe the games that I do find, maybe the new games that I do play can still affect me in the same way, just they don't feel as foundational. Maybe they feel like they're building on something rather than being at the center of it, which doesn't mean they're any worse or any better. They just happen to have come along later, and sometimes that's all it comes down to. It's just games, just what game did you play first that was really important. That's that's one of my, like, I'm not private about it. That's one of my stated reasons that I prefer the original Pathologic. I mean, there are plenty of other reasons, but that's honestly one of them. I played it first. It was the one that I emotionally interfaced with. It was the one that sort of blew the doors off, really, and really inspired me down this path in the first place. And I can't honestly say, like, I don't know if Pathologic 2 would have scratched the same itch. Like, I just don't know. Like, Pathologic 1 was there when I needed it. Got me through some stuff, Yeah, it's really just a matter of timing with those kinds of things. What another great camera angle here. Just really, like, wistful. The fog sort of covering the trees there. Don't really remember a game that I had like that when I was younger. So I've been facing the tougher emotions with games later in life. Yeah, but I guess what I mean, you don't necessarily have to be young to play it. But it's the early games that the early games that we do play that we gel with naturally affect how we approach other games like that later. You know, we've got these sort of foundational texts, like the canon in our mind, you know. I think age, like, might help. Like, obviously we're more sort of open as a child, more imaginatively expressive, you know. Yeah. I think as you get accustomed to a medium, you start to view it more critically, sometimes to the detriment of the raw experience. Yeah, like, as much as I love analyzing games, as you know, like, it's definitely, like, a thing, you know. As I'm playing through something, you know, I hate the phrase, you know, turn your brain off, because you shouldn't turn your brain off to enjoy stuff, you know. I enjoy action movies without, you know, turning my brain off and that kind of thing. But there is maybe something to be said, I don't know, for taking a minute, just to step back and sort of be like, this isn't necessarily, like, don't look at it as like this finely crafted piece of art necessarily. Look at it like in the moment, you know, how are you feeling in the moment? You gotta be open to that. I think you gotta let the game take you where it wants. You can't force a game to make you feel a certain way. That's why I like to give horror like every advantage I can. You know, like I do like to, whenever I can. You know, like shut the lights off, pull the curtains, headphones on, volume up. Internet off, you know, like no distractions. Like if I can help it, like my first playthrough of a horror game has got to be like, it's got to try and be pure, you know, like that's the goal. And I think, yeah, like you sort of just have to let that happen. You can't go in with the sort of expectation that I'm going to break this down, you know. You can do all the breaking down in the world you want after you play it for the first time and let the game interface with you, you know. Do you want to press the switch? Yes. Bridge explodes. The end. Alrighty. Come on, Harry, don't get stuck. We get this wonderful sound here. Just lulls you to sleep, you know. But I'm trying to think, like, finding those kinds of games that explore negative emotion as a child can be difficult, and also like very rare. It's rare that those kinds of games will be accessible in childhood. I think, at least it was for me most of the time. But yeah, like you find these things when you're a teenager or whenever, you know, and they sort of start to become like these foundational texts. I mean, I think I talked about it with Blasphemous, which is a fantastic game, and Blasphemous 2 is also a fantastic game. Hey, look, it's Konami Burger. They probably cancel my burger or something. Canned laughter insert here. But you know, like, yeah, there's something really important about having those experiences, I think. For games, like letting games act that way for you. You know, I had I had such high hopes for Konami Burger 2. Yeah, I'm afraid their Konami Burger 2 has been cancelled. It's being replaced with Konami Burger Ascension. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. Man, what was I saying? Blasphemous, right. I said that Blasphemous was this like, I don't know, I never really considered like all out like Catholic religious horror before. Not in the visual sense anyway, you know, like I'd read about like the sort of feeling of Catholic horror and Catholic guilt, but to have everything sort of metaphorized and built out visually in this sort of wonderful graphic style, that became like, in a sense, you know, if sort of someone mentions to me like religious horror, I mean, it's the first thing that jumps to my mind. It's almost, you know, like it's like a foundational moment, foundational text, and that's the kind of thing I'm talking about, which is, yeah, like so important. Just keep running. Just trying to see if I can find any like more bullets or anything before I go into the hospital. I'm just gonna go for like, yeah, how much longer I got? Another like 15 minutes or so. Okay. Public parking. I already parked my car in a pretty good spot. New Vegas is how I learned about dialectics. So I learned that the NCR wasn't actually the best choice for the Mojave. Yeah, it's certainly it's very interesting, isn't it? But I've written about New Vegas as well before, and I think what it does so well is it allows you to rebuild the world in a way that you see as fit, right? And to have that like breadth of choice, as well as the game not judging you for whatever choice you make explicitly, apart from maybe the Legion, I don't know, the game really makes you feel like a scumbag for good reason. But you know, there's the other three choices, I don't know, feel like morally, you know, there's not much in them. It's all down to player preference, player opinion. And the fact that New Vegas had that respect for you, right, Nosik, that you were able to learn about dialectics, that it was feeding you this information, it wasn't dumbing it down, you know, that it was giving you this actual political information, and these philosophical problems. The fact that a game is a safe space where you can engage with that kind of stuff is really integral. And I think, you know, we need games for that kind of thing. Games are just going to become more and more important as time goes on, and I think, you know, we can't shy away from that. We can't shy away from how important games are. We can't shy away from the potential of games. I mean, like, looking back at this game, at Silent Hill 1, I mean, it really kickstarted something, even if the developers had no intention to. But there was this, you know, like, this appraisal of that games could tell mature, serious stories with like some freaky themes, and you know, like, yeah, like themes of child abuse and religious power abuse, and all these kinds of mature stories. And we're sort of, you know, we're really barely scratching the surface. You know, there's so many great games out there already, but there's also so much more to talk about and so much more to explore. Because I don't know, a lot of people, to a certain degree, right, like game mechanics, in some sense, you know, like we expect certain things at this point. We expect things to be a certain way. You know, if you're playing a survival horror game, you know, you've got your inventory, you know, etc. And maybe some mediums, you know, you could argue, or some genres rather, we can clue in, like, oh, this is going to be more useful for telling this kind of story, etc. But, you know, like, there's still a lot to flesh out, a lot to explore. Hello, Cameron Soup. How's it going? No sector. Going to the Mojave for school as an adult was awesome, even if we didn't get to go to any of the towns in game. Just checking the map, recognizing the names of the places around us. That does sound pretty awesome. I would like to go there one day, just out of respect of for the game. It's such a fantastic immersive experience. Okay, we heard a gunshot. We better go and investigate. I think we meet Kaufman in here, right? Yep, here he is. Love the, yeah, the camera work and direction is really well done in this game.
Hold it. Stop. Don't shoot. Wait. I'm not here to fight. My name is Harry Mason. I'm in town on vacation.
Thank God. Another human being.
Do you work here?
Video on Disco Elysium last night, and that's another game
I work at this hospital.
that I've heard that explores a lot of complex topics. Yeah, that's an example of the kind of game that I think a lot of people really interface with as well.
Staff room. When I woke up, it was like
I haven't played much of it, I gotta admit, but I was very impressed with what I played. That's another game I need to go back and finish.
something's gone seriously wrong. Did you see those monsters? Have you ever seen such aberrations?
Such aberrations.
Ever even heard of such things?
No.
You and I both know creatures like that don't exist.
Yeah. Have you seen a little girl anywhere?
I haven't seen those actually. I think they're on my watch later list or something like that.
She's only 7. Short, black hair.
She's missing. I'm sorry. But with all those monsters around, I highly doubt that she's... Sorry, I didn't mean to alarm you. Your wife, she's here with you?
She died 4 years ago. Now it's just me and my daughter.
I see. I'm sorry. Well,
It's important for that kind of moment to be represented, yeah.
I can't just sit around here doing nothing.
So long. Good luck out there.
Same, yeah. So it's so good. The soundtrack for one, I think, is really underrated. Probably because there's so much like industrial, like screaming, in the soundtrack. But there's also like there are a good number of other tracks that actually feel a bit more melodic and traditional that still sound like really great. Clawfinger and that one, which I forget the name of, and the cafe one, being great examples. Okay. I want to get the map, which is behind reception. I think. Wait, what? Where did that spit me out? I think I want to go through. Is it this other door here? Nothing on the desk here? Nothing unusual? No, of course not. Cool, got the map. Basically essential in this level. First aid kit. So I love that little hop. It's so great. I think it's just... He just looks like... He's just got a spring in his step. Yeah, what was I think, yeah, like any game that has like the capacity to talk to the player, like, like they're intelligent and willing to listen and engage with these more complicated ideas. I think it's a game that also has my respect. If you respect the player, then the player respects you. The player takes what's happening seriously when that kind of presentation occurs. Can't go around that way, apparently. Basement key. just this unearthly stillness. I can just imagine like other games would try and fill this with, you know, like noises or music or something like that. But you just have the sounds of your own exploration, and maybe just like this very, very low, like white noise like sound in the background playing. Yeah, it's really well done. Okay. So we got medicine room, examination room. I should go back out actually and check all the doors in the corridor here. Alright. So I only checked the doctor's office. Should check the kitchen. Wish media in general did that more often. Some of my favourite movies and books were, as a kid, were things I was too young to understand, but the fact they didn't dumb themselves down made me curious rather than confused. I think that's what a lot of people misunderstand, right? Is like, they think, oh no, the audience, they'll get confused. They won't know what's going on. They'll have no idea. We don't want them to feel confused, do we? And to a certain degree, like, yes, all right. Like, if you make your story like crazy complicated and you don't like fill in like basic details, of course they're going to be confused. But like, if you have a competently written story, like, and the people at least know the basics, you know, like, then you can afford to like sort of amp up the complexity a bit and like don't like dumb it down, you know. It's infuriating to sort of, I don't know, to encounter something that that does that you sort of feel like could have been better if only they'd just tried a little bit harder or something. I don't know. Glass vial I shattered. It's not just broken. It looks smashed on purpose. Well, we can scoop up some water or some liquid in this bottle. Remaining liquid is emptied into the plastic bottle. Now what have we here? Thinking about RPGs allowing for easy respecing of skills / perks from earlier, I can't tell if Disco Elysium would benefit from that. I feel like it might help me want to finish it more. I don't know. It's curious, like that kind of experience. Yeah, issue in Disco, your skills are sort of directly tied to your personality. Like in other RPGs, like this, there's sort of like abstract, like combat skills. You know, they feel interchangeable. But in Disco, which has, which, you know, your personality is so integral. It feels like it would be hard to come up with a way to respec it. But in other games where it's not so important, I would deeply appreciate it. Particularly, like, I wouldn't even mind if all the game let me do was respec my combat abilities, but it's unfair to reach a point and not be able to pass it just because I chose the wrong set of skills. Like, I should have chosen dodge instead of block or something. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky problem, isn't it? I need to turn my torch on, don't I? The in-house generator powers elevators, ICUs, and operating rooms only. Yes. Press the switch. The generator is on. That was a good noise. Who's in here? Disco Elysium tries its best to make failure at least as interesting as success. And I think that's the other integral part, you know. The other integral part is, I think, yeah, like I mentioned this before, you know, like failure needs to be upfront. If you fail, it can't be the end of the game. In that kind of instance, you know, it's got to be the creation of something more interesting, which is what Pathologic achieves, right? Like if you do something wrong in Pathologic 2 in particular, you still get to keep playing, generally, and you've also like learned something and made the game more personally interesting for yourself. Lock is jammed. Working with a fractured mind, we could have sudden changes in personality. Like, we need to build the mind. We could have events change how we feel about each situation. That sounds like a cool game concept. Maybe we'll have to make it. We'll have to develop it together. Use my programming knowledge. I hope you're a good artist, because that's the one thing I can't do. Otherwise, I'd be making games left and right. I can write and I can code, but I cannot draw. Great. We're a team, all right. Who else wants in? All right. That was easy, yeah. Development just begins right now, I guess, yeah. Alright. Marcus jammed. And we've transitioned into the other world again. I reckon I'll reach the next save point and then I'll then I'll leave. I think gotta go get some rest after this, I think, but I can tell you it's been great to stream again. It's been a lot of fun. And if anyone does wanna I don't have much experience in digital, but I'm good at copying real things and making it look good enough. That's good enough for me. Looking forward to seeing what I missed on the VOD. We had a lot of discussion earlier, so yeah, there's certainly some stuff you missed out on. You missed out on me wandering around the foggy streets aimlessly as well. That was a good time. Birdcage, it's empty. Is there anything you feel this game does better than any of the other Silent Hills? Oh, that's a good question. I think maybe the feeling that you really are playing as an everyman. Like, I don't know. Silent Hill 3 I still find the hardest, but I don't know. Yeah, it's a tough question. I think what it does really well is this sort of the sense of exploration, and moving into something like new and foreboding. It's hard to say whether it does it better than other Silent Hills, because the other Silent Hills are also very good at doing that. But there's something to be said, for how it presents itself, and the way in which it unfolds. I think the transitions from normal world to other world might be the best in the series. They still feel like the most natural, like going through the clock tower, then climbing up on the other side to sort of enter into like this reverse school is a great transition. Going up to the 4th floor in the hospital, which didn't exist before, and like 4 and an alternative meaning for 4 in Japan is death, and you've got you go up, transition to the other world. Great, like fantastic stuff. I think that's the kind of thing that it does really well, is the sort of the rhythm of exploration and what it is that you see. It's certainly the monsters are definitely like on the weaker side for the series, mainly because they're a bunch of like large like spooky animals, which makes sense for Alessa, but doesn't. They're not as impactful as later monsters in the series would be. But there's a lot to love about this game, and I really do hope to make a video essay on it next year in a similar vein to my Silent Hill 2 video. We'll see. I would still really love to make that like a kind of series of videos, sort of big long dives into a game and its spaces and how it all fits together, and obviously the Silent Hill series is a perfect place to start, I think, with that. But I could very easily move on to plenty of other titles. I got a list, you know. But no, I should probably go. I'm actually I'm exhausted. But I really appreciate everyone tuning in. It's been fantastic to be back. Just thanks to everyone for your support, for your patience, for tuning in. It really does mean a lot. Thank you, Cameron Soup. Thank you for the follow. I really appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I'll be back. Same time next week. I reckon if I can fit another one in, I will. But the new pathologic character analysis video is out right now on Patreon. So you can subscribe to get early access to that. But otherwise, it'll be out sometime next week. So people have got that to look forward to as well. So thanks everyone once more. I'll see everyone next time. Stay safe and see you later.